This is the brand new FLSUN T1. Now, rather than me explain to you what a delta is, I'm just gonna show you. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the next couple of minutes, and then we'll go over all the good and the bad. Well, what did you think? If that was your first time seeing a delta, they're pretty impressive, aren't they? They're fast. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna talk about all the printer's features, then we're gonna look at the prints, and then I'll give you my thoughts. So let's get started. Let's go ahead and start with the build volume. Now this is a little bit different if you've never used a delta before. As you can tell, the build plate is round. So it has a diameter of 260 millimeters and it has a maximum Z height of 330 millimeters. Now that maximum Z height is a little bit different because that maximum Z height can only be obtained in the direct middle of the build volume at the top. Let me explain it this way. Once all three arms that are attached to the effector are at the top, right, that is going to be your maximum 330 in the middle. But in order for that effector to move laterally in any given direction, one or two or more of those arms have to move down. Right? So that means that the further you get away from the center, you're kind of losing that maximum Z height. So again, think about it like a cylinder with a cone on top, and that's your maximum build volume. Okay, now let's talk about temperatures. These are going to be similar to any other type of 3D printer out there, well, because they use filament. So it has a hot end that goes to 300°C and has a build plate that goes to 110. Now with the enclosure, that means you're going to be able to print all of the filaments like PLA, PTG, TPU, ABSs, ASAs, and even nylons and polycarbonate. Now I will add that the hot end on this particular machine heated up very quickly. I would say just like any other 3D printer out there, but the build plate on this one takes a little bit of time to get up to temperature. When you're pushing it to like 60°C or so for PLA, it was relatively quick, but when you wanted to print ABS, it took a good 3, 4, 5 minutes or more to get up to temperature. So if you're gonna be printing with those more exotic filaments, start that build plate heating up and go get a soda. Maybe I don't even have to say this, but this is a big machine. Now it's not quite as big as the S1, of course, but the T1 is about 3 feet or a little bit taller, and it's about 18 inches by 19 inches. So if you're thinking about some desk space for it, just give yourself about 20 inches square and a good, maybe 36, 38 inches on the height in order to find a place to fit this. Now, it is relatively heavy. It comes in at about 40 pounds or so, but to be honest with you, for a machine this size and coming in at, like I said, about 38, 39, 40 pounds, that's actually not too bad. Okay, now let's talk about the tool head. But on a Delta, they're not called a tool head, they're called an effector. And now this particular effector has a dual gear direct drive extruder, which actually was really nice. I actually couldn't get it to skip. I ran multiple spools of filament and I actually pushed the printer as hard as I could push it, and not once did the extruder skip, so that's a good thing. Now it comes with a 0.4 millimeter brass nozzle, which I think is odd. I really think that FLSUN should have probably went with a new hybrid nozzle, because those exist right there. So we have the combination of being able to print with abrasives, but also having the thermal capacity to print fast. So brass, it is what it is, so just be careful and don't print with abrasives. But other than that, I think the tool head effector is pretty nice. All right, let's talk about how loud this machine is, right? I don't know what kind of fan that a vacuum uses, but I think that they use the same one. This machine is really, really, really loud. I know that it uses a 30,000 RPM fan, and it does move a lot of air. Obviously, that's to keep it cool on the inside. And it does have a HEPA filter, activated carbon, that's going to help reduce odors and VOCs. But to give you an idea of just how loud it is, you will not be able to be working in the same space when this machine is printing. It's like someone's either in the room with you with the vacuum cleaner or just outside the door. So super loud, but I really don't see that as a negative because this particular machine, for its application, being able to just print really, really, really fast, I think you kind of got to give up a little bit of sound to get that. So just be aware, with this machine, I can hear it at the other end of the house. It's loud. Now, speed. There's a reason why it's so loud with the fan, and that's just simply because this is a speed demon. This is the fastest 3D printer that we have, and the fastest 3D printer that I've ever used. It prints at 1,000 millimeters per second with accelerations up as high as 30,000 millimeters a second squared. Now, as far as how fast I was able to get it going, the maximum that I could get this printer going was about 700 or over 700, maybe 770 millimeters per second, and the results were still really, really, really good. Matter of fact, I would put this machine at printing over 700 millimeters per second up against any other machine that we have, printing at their maximums of 300, 400, and 500 millimeters per second. So this is a really fast machine, one that's going to be incredible for prototyping. I mean, I'll show you some of the prints here in a little bit when we get to that section, but we were pushing this thing really, really, really hard, and I mean, we were flat melting some filament, and it always just looked really nice. It actually has a really nice 4.3-inch color touch display, and that gives you the standard Clipper interface there. And because it is Clipper, that means you get the remote management of Clipper as well. Now, it also has a camera built in, so that gets you time lapses and, of course, being able to monitor prints remotely. Now, as far as like using the camera for like AI kind of spaghetti detection, that is something that they say that they're working on. We'll probably see that under development and maybe released soon. Of course, it has all of the standard features that you'd expect, like a filament runout sensor. It has auto bed leveling, and it has auto Z offset. And because it's Clipper, it has input shaping. Now, about the auto Z offset, this is a software issue that FLSUN is going to have to look at, and they're going to have to address and fix. I don't think it was critical. I don't think it's a showstopper for the machine, but I kept getting some Z drift, or at least it not saving my Z offset. So every couple of prints, whether that was 2 or 3 sometimes 4 or 5 or more, I would notice that my Z was just not where I wanted it. And so the solution for that was to reach over here to the interface and just go through the calibration steps again. Now, it only takes a few minutes to go through those calibration steps before you print, but as soon as I did that, that solved the problem. So until FLSUN fixes that, that's going to be kind of my go-to kind of thing. And matter of fact, it's a funny thing because I love the machine so much. It prints so fast and the quality's so good. I'm all right with that until they get it fixed. So FLSUN, if you're watching and you're listening, I've already sent it to you in an email, but definitely take a look at that Z offset and see if you can get that kind of fixed, or at least figure out what the issue is, so that we don't have to be running that calibration before every handful of prints. All right, let's talk about slicing. The slicer I was using was the FLSUN slicer, which is based on Prusa slicer, and I was running it on a Mac, and I thought the slicing experience was fantastic. It was exactly what you'd expect. Now, the only downside to the user experience that I had with this particular machine when it came to slicing were profiles, which is a pretty common thing when those of us who get these machines from these companies for review or for sharing. It's common that sometimes we don't get profiles that are very accurate for the machines or for filament. Now, I want to say right now that my experience with this machine has been absolutely incredible. From the unboxing and the assembly, which took like basically about an hour to do, it is just an incredible experience. And then we get to the filament profiles. The difference between a machine that is good and maybe great to a machine that is just excellent or knocks it out of the ballpark, it really comes down to the user experience, and those profiles are a part of that. And so having filament profiles for every brand of filament out there, so you can just order from Amazon or order from Polymaker, and when that filament gets here, you just jump right into the slicer and select that filament and hit print. That is what makes the difference between, like I said, a good or great printer and an excellent printer. And so I would love to see FLSUN. I would love to see dozens of filament profiles in there so that the people that get this machine just have an incredible experience. All right, so now let's talk a little bit about print quality. This is the little guide that I think that came with it, and I went ahead and just printed him up, and it may have been my first or second print. And overall, I think the print quality is fine. This is their sliced G-code, and it turned out great. It's fine, and that is with Polymaker's Polysonic PLA. So it's with Polymaker's high-speed PLA. And then this was a basket. I don't even know where I got it from, to be honest with you. The bottom was a little bit rough. That was just because I didn't have the build plate clean and applied glue properly. And we're going to talk about bed adhesion here in a moment. But I think the basket turned out pretty decent. This was actually printing around 500 to 600 millimeters per second, and I think it turned out pretty nice. Now, this is a little 20 millimeter cube that I printed, and I was checking for dimensional accuracy when I printed this, and I was pretty impressed. It came out to just at 20 millimeters, or like 20.1 millimeters, and I think 19.9, or exactly right on 20 millimeters in the other direction, which is actually pretty impressive. And this was also with Polymaker's Polysonic high-speed PLA. Now let's talk about these. So as you can see, this is a bowling pin, and that is a bowling pin, but this is not a complete bowling pin. And that comes down to the Z height on this particular machine. And because, again, it's a cylinder with a cone on top, and that max point at the very top of that is 330 millimeters. So this right here, where the print failed, is exactly 300 millimeters. So even as, I guess, not very wide, 300 millimeters was too high. So I think your effective build volume, as far as getting the widest part of your print, is going to be probably somewhere around 280 millimeters as far as the cylinder goes, and then it's going to be a cone shape up to the center to get to 330. So that's why this has failed. Now, I did have this one as well, and as you can see, there's a layer shift right there. Now this comes from the auto calibration that I have to run every couple of prints, or every 3 or 4 or 5 prints. I was getting that Z drift, and this is what would happen only if I didn't run the calibration. If I ran that calibration every couple of prints, this never happened. If I ran it every 5 prints, 6 prints, 7 prints, then I started to have this collision, and I had the layer shifts. So again, that's going to come back to FLSUN fixing that with software, which I really don't think is a big deal. I spent my whole life in software, so they'll get that squared away. It's an incredible machine, and just a little bit of software update is going to fix that. All right, now take a look at this. In the beginning of the video, you recognize this. This guy was printing pretty darn fast. And even though the interface said it was 1,000 millimeters per second, I was double checking over in Clipper, and I even ran the math on a calculator, and we were running around 700 to 770, maybe pushing 800 millimeters per second at the max. But I think that is pretty darn nice. Now this is ABS. And I printed both PLA and ABS on this machine, and we ran through a lot of filament. And I have to say, I'm pretty darn impressed that this machine can crank this out at those speeds and have really good layer adhesion and still just look this nice. Now, the bowling pin that's in here, believe it or not, I can't pull it out right now while I'm recording this because the print head's actually resting on it. right? So it's kind of holding up the effector. But anyway, the bowling pin actually turned out really, really, really nice. So I was printing this and I was testing filament changes. Filament changes work just like any other particular 3D printer, except that you have to just pause it and then do the filament change and then resume it. So helpful tip if you're gonna make a bowling pin like mine. But actually, print quality on this machine is fantastic. So I hope that while I'm talking about this stuff, I was able to show you some B-roll. But I'm super impressed with it. For a machine that prints this fast, that has a pretty decent sized build volume, really good print quality. And so my recommendation for this particular machine, yeah, it's a buy. And I think right now, I believe there's early bird pricing as of the morning that this printer is available. And this machine is, are you ready? $499. And even at $599, which is I think the regular price for it, $499 is insane. So if you're in the market for a machine that has a pretty decent build volume, that's really fast, but also loud, yeah, this is a definite buy for me. Now, I told you that we would come back to bed adhesion just for a moment. Now, with this machine, because I was having the Z kind of offset issues, and glue stick just wasn't cutting it, this is what I went ahead and went with. And Vision Miner is not sponsoring this video, but they are a sponsor of some of my content over on Twitch and YouTube. But this is a fantastic product. This is their Vision Miner nanopolymer adhesive. And this is an incredible chemical that you put on your build plate, and it's going to hold everything down. So it's going to hold PLAs and PTGs. It's going to hold nylons and polycarbonates down, and it lets everything stick to everything. And you can get a ton of uses out of one application. So one application on a build plate, if you're printing with PLAs and PTGs, you can print as many as like 30 to 50 times before reapplying. Obviously more advanced filaments like polycarbonates and nylons, you'll have to reapply it more often in the areas you print. But it is a fantastic adhesive, and that's what we used for all the testing with this machine. So I'll have a link on the screen and in the description, but definitely if you don't have it or you've never used it, whatever, go check them out. Incredible, incredible product. All right, well there you have it. What do you think? Deltas, pretty freaking cool, aren't they? Well, let me know in the comments below what you think about this machine, if Deltas interest you or not, or maybe you already have one. I'd love to know. Also, let me give a big thank you to FLSUN for sending this machine over and letting us share it with all of you, and a huge shout out and thank you to our YouTube and Patreon members. I could not do this without you. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you on the next one.